Welcome to She's the Boss, the podcast where female wellness entrepreneurs talk ambition, money, and ownership out loud. I'm your host, Lee McSwan, a certified holistic nutritionist turned wellness business coach. This is where conversations are unfiltered, the rules of entrepreneurship get rewritten, and nothing is off limits. Money, motherhood, friendships, legacy, wealth, power, and what it really takes to build a life and business on your terms. Today's guest is someone I'm so genuinely excited to introduce you to. Carolyn Williamson is the founder of With the Seasons Studio, a conscious branding and web design studio built specifically for her heart-led entrepreneurs. She does branding vision sessions, human design readings, and custom brand and website design work that is deeply rooted in alignment, not just what looks good, but what actually feels good. And that's exactly what we're getting into today. We're talking about modern day branding, the one that goes way beyond your color palette and your fancy fonts. We're talking about motherhood, about building a business while you're also raising little humans and trying to hold it all together, postpartum anxiety, and of course, human design and how understanding your own energetic blueprint can change the way you work, the way you sell, the way you show up, and well, pretty much how you feel about all of it. If you're listening to this, you probably already know that you need some business support. It's not a question. The question is when and how. Your roster is full, your income has stopped growing, and you're starting to realize that adding more clients isn't the answer. You, my friend, need a different structure entirely. That's what Ignite builds. It's my 6-month mastermind where you build your scalable offers, your course, your ecosystem, and the CEO identity to run it all. And you do that inside of a community of women who are at exactly the same point you are at right now. That room changes things in ways that are hard to explain until you're in it and feeling it. For June only, you can secure your spot in the fall cohort and spread your investment across 9 months instead of 6. More space to step in without the weight of a compressed timeline. And if paying in full feels right, you get a private 1-hour intensive with me included. Just us and your business. That's a $550 value. Ignite runs once a year, and the link is in the show notes. Carolyn, welcome to She's the Boss. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me. I'm just so excited to have a conversation with you. We were chatting already, and I feel like we could probably chat all day. So it's gonna be
we went down some very different paths in our half an hour plus conversation before we hit recording, but
I know.
We are going to get into your story because you were in a very different industry from what you're doing now. And I'm personally so fascinated by your approach to design and branding. And you do something that I've never seen anybody else do. And we're going to get really into it because selfishly, I want to learn from you. I love the work that you've produced. It's just so beautiful. And I think you really have this natural gift of capturing the person behind the brand. But before we get there, let's go back to the beginning. Talk to us about early on in your career.
Yeah. Well, first off, thank you so much for saying those really kind words. I'm receiving that. Yeah. Where do you want to start? Way back when I was kind of in the nursing world, maybe. And
yeah, let's go there.
Transitioned into entrepreneurship. Is that where we want to go?
That's a big jump, right?
That was a huge jump. So yeah, it's wild to think my life now looks so different than I ever expected it to be. If you would have asked me 10 years ago what I would be doing, I'd be pediatric nursing. I thought that I would go into nursing and I would be in nursing for life. But yeah, now I'm in branding, which is extremely different. So how this all came about, I think the biggest thing that created a shift for me was probably motherhood. Mm-hmm. So, as you know, Lee, I'm a mom to two not so little kids anymore. They're 7 and 4. I still feel like they're little, but
they're so little.
Oh my gosh. Anyways, after having my firstborn, Harvey, I experienced a lot of postpartum anxiety. And the thing is, I thought coming from the world of pediatric nursing that I would kind of have this leg up on mother,
Right.
right? Like I was teaching moms, how to care for their babies and how to nurse and how to do all these things. And my experience with motherhood and that identity shift was like wild for me, as it is for so many moms, right? So, as I said, I kind of had a lot of postpartum anxiety at that time. And it was really this like awakening for me where I started to look inwards and, like look into my thoughts and see what my body was telling me and really like go inward. And I went really deep. And kind of like landed myself on this healing journey, healing from the inside out. And so it was in that time, this was back in like 2018, 2019. I started sharing about my experience on social media because I was like, I just didn't want to feel alone in
Oh, I love that.
motherhood. Yeah, with, experiencing postpartum anxiety. And I think it like resonated for a lot of people. And I started to build a bit of a community. And naturally, I started kind of like coaching in the motherhood mental wellness space. Like motherhood was something that was always like deeply ingrained with me being a pediatric nurse. I always loved kids. And then I had experienced anxiety before motherhood, and had a lot of like knowledge around it, had gotten into a lot of like the mindfulness world, meditation. Again, this like healing from the inside out, but motherhood made me go even deeper. And so I started like sharing and coaching on it. And in time, I kind of realized that like as I was beginning to like follow my intuition and follow what lights me up, I realized that nursing no longer felt aligned for me. And it became really clear to me that for so long I would wake up and I would have a shift for the day and I would have this like pit in my stomach. And looking back, it was clearly my body's way of saying like this is not meant for you. But I like pushed through it and I ignored it for so long just because I didn't have like the awareness around it.
Right.
And so, yeah, I started coaching in the motherhood mental wellness space. And then eventually that led to the co-creation of a motherhood community with someone else in the entrepreneur space, which was beautiful. It was again kind of this like deeper spiritual work and like really forming this virtual community around motherhood. It was retreat based. There was like retreats and it was really beautiful. And then I don't know if I should get into like, it was around this time that I kind of found human design. Do you want me to get into that a little bit?
Yeah, actually, I just want to go back
Yeah.
because one of the things that you said was um, getting more into the spiritual side of things. When you're coming from an exclusively science-based background,
Mhm.
how how much inner work do you have to do to like bring yourself into deciding that you're going to work in the spiritual realm and kind of, I guess you hadn't really fully abandoned the science side of things yet, had you?
Yeah. Okay. This is a really great question, Lee, because I grew up and I was very like left brained. Like I was into science, I was good at math, I was very like practical, grounded, like follow these steps and this happens, right? And my parents were very much that way. Like they're both chemical engineers. So I kind of grew up in this very like practical world,
Yes.
science world. Um, and so yeah, as I started to do this inner work, like naturally, like the spiritual questions, these like bigger, deeper questions started to surface for me. And I like looking back now, like I think I've always been a very spiritual person, or like, again, asked these bigger questions, wanted these like deeper conversations with people, was very like attuned with nature and like the rhythms of life. But I think it was kind of like pushed down. So, like, going inwards kind of just like unlocked that all for me. And now I've gone like headfirst into yeah, human design, intuition stuff. But yeah, like there's a part of me that's still like I almost like balance the two worlds where I can be very, yeah, intuitive, right brain, creative. And my design work has allowed me to tap into this creative, more feminine side of my energy. But there's still a piece of me that's like very left-brained and more kind of masculine, if that makes sense.
Did you have any resistance with your colleagues and sharing what you were going through, and did you bring up some of those bigger, deeper questions that you had kind of bubbling up?
Ugh, yeah. The whole process of sharing like this spiritual, more intuitive side for me has been like it's brought up a lot of fears and limiting beliefs for sure. Even with some of the people that I'm closest with, like family members, um, members of my family who are spiritual that, are focused on a specific religion. Um, there's been a lot of more inner work that I've needed to do and able to like fully express myself and like own this side of me, which has been very uncomfortable.
Yeah, for sure. Doing the work is never the best thing ever, but once you get through it, you
Mhm.
feel like a weight has been taken off of you. And motherhood is usually the gateway for doing all the inner work. It was actually, I related a lot about the postpartum anxiety, but I didn't know that that's what I was experiencing
Yeah.
with my first. I was the first of my girlfriends to have a baby. I was 26, so I was quite a bit younger
Yeah.
than most people. And the reason I realized that it was probably anxiety that I was dealing with was because my dog started becoming anxious.
Oh my gosh.
And
Yeah.
I was like, I don't think this is normal because I had so many irrational fears, which maybe they aren't actually so irrational when I think about it. Like they are very um, primally ingrained fears. Like, I
Yeah.
want to be home. I want to be holding him. I want to be near him while he's sleeping. Like all those things. I don't want him to choke so much. But it's interesting because I actually think that that was when my own kind of evolution started, was becoming a first time mom. And
Oh, yes.
once you open up Pandora's box, you're like, whoa, there's a
I
lot.
I think you're bang on with this, and like so many clients that I work with like in my space now are mothers, and it is motherhood that has created this like portal or this like huge awakening for them where they're all of a sudden like, wait a minute, like I need to show my children this different
Yes.
way, right? And for me it's been really about like following my intuition, following the things that bring me joy, that bring me happiness. And with that, like I know I'm showing that to my children as well, right? Because that's
Yeah.
all I want for them is for them to be happy and to be able to like drop the expectations of the world, what they should be doing, and like tune into them and like what feels good for them. Like that's the biggest thing that I want to teach them like in this lifetime. And so I need to be a role model for them in that too.
Yes. Oh, that's a mic drop moment right there. There's no greater gift that we can give our children than their safety and their freedom to be fully and wholly themselves. Like
Oh,
I love that. And I don't know if you realized, but you were holding your heart while you were
yeah.
talking about that because it's so like it's so important, right? Like that is motherhood in my eyes. It's like we can grieve the kids that we didn't get because there's certain elements of us that we want to see in our kids. And sometimes for people that can be having an athletic child or having a super confident child or having a high achieving academic child. And like for me with my kids, I had to really drop a lot of my own personal expectations of what I thought would make them happy. And I couldn't have done that until I went in and understood where that was coming from me. And
Yeah.
of course, it goes back to my own childhood. And we're always reparenting ourselves, but I just love that you had so much awareness right from the get-go in terms of just knowing what you wanted to give your kids, which was just their pure, authentic, whole selves. Like that's just so beautiful. And
Well, honestly, Lee, like I would say in the beginning, I didn't like I wasn't tuned into my intuition. I was so caught up in um trying to kind of like control things. And for me, like I I expected my firstborn Harvey to be very different than he actually was. I
right.
expected him to be a lot more like me, and what worked for me would work for him. And so it was honestly this process of like unraveling it. And that's where human design comes into my story. And it has helped me so, so much, specifically in the motherhood, like parenting realm. So, for those listening who don't know what human design is, it's kind of like another tool that you can use to learn about yourself and who you are, but on this like kind of deeper, more soulful level. It kind of helps you understand who you are before the world told you who you should be. So when I learned about human design and my energy type, I'm a 4/6 splenic projector. For those of you who are listening who know what that is, if that sounds like gibberish, that's totally fine. Like you don't need to know what that is, but it resonated so deeply for me. It was just like this permission slip to lean into the person that I already knew that I was, that I was almost like pushing away or resisting.
Uh,
But where it ties into like motherhood. So when I got into human design, I was like, obsessed. I need to learn about this for me, but I also need to learn about it for like everybody in my life, including my children. And then learning how Harvey was like so different from me. And this showed up so clearly in his chart versus mine, how we have very different energy levels. And we just work differently. Like it was finally the permission that I needed to be like, okay, let me be who you are. Let me allow you to be who you
yeah.
are. And just to express who you are at a soul level authentically, even if it's different from me. Because for so long, I thought I was doing something wrong in raising him, when
Mhm.
really he's just an entirely different human being, and he expresses himself differently, and his energy is different, and he's made differently. And that seems so like common knowledge, but I think like as parents we can get so caught up in I should be doing something differently.
Yeah.
So
It's like
human design was so, yeah, it was so helpful for me.
that's so fascinating. I actually want to run my kids' charts because
Yeah.
I can I can guess at what I think they are in like the most basic
Yeah.
human design language possible.
Yeah.
Um, so when we have the tool of human design,
Hmm.
you described it as like a permission slip, which I think is really the best way to describe it. It feels like, or even just this explanation, because when I kind of read my own chart again at a very basic level, I was like,
Yeah.
oh, this makes sense. And
Yeah.
for me personally, I saw my resistance explained in some kind of way. Does that make sense?
That makes complete sense. Yeah,
Like my
it's funny
roadblocks.
when I'm doing readings for, different women, the things that I tell them in the reading that come through that kind of download for me, or that I channel in the reading based on their chart, it's not things that are completely new to them. A lot of times
Right.
they're just like nodding along. They're things that they knew to be true about themselves,
Yeah.
but it's almost like sometimes there's parts of us which we feel should be different or they're wrong because we're comparing ourselves to everybody else, and we feel like things should be working in the exact same way for every single person. When in reality, the more we can lean into our authentic selves and listen to our body and follow our intuition, because that's another amazing thing that human design helps us do. It kind of gives us this roadmap for following your intuition. Then, like, I don't know. I've just seen so much more alignment in my life. Like, again, I would not be having this conversation with you
Right.
today. I would not have met these amazing women that I've connected with through these beautiful communities. I would not be a brand and website designer today if I hadn't like leaned into my authentic self.
Yeah, I love that so much. So take us through your process because what you do is so unique. Like I said at the top of the show, I don't see anybody else doing it. And the work that you create, it just feels good from like a visual standpoint, but I can feel something different with your work. So how do
Okay.
you differentiate yourself as a graphic designer, as a web developer, as a branding expert with human design kind of running in the background or maybe even running in the foreground?
Yeah, yeah. Well, I should say, like, in terms of my story, so I was kind of in this motherhood mental wellness coaching space. And what I realized is that when I was like running my business, I was so just drawn to the design side of the business. And people were like naturally reaching out to me to be like, Carolyn, like who does your visual stuff? Like we want to hire them. Like people were always asking me about like the visual design element. And again, it was like the thing I was naturally drawn to. Like I'd find myself like building my website again, even though like I had a million other things to do.
Right, right.
So um, that was like, again, these were nudges or like breadcrumbs that were coming through of like, okay, I'm going to start transitioning into this more creative design world. And that fully happened about a year and a bit ago where I took some more courses and kind of went into branding and website design and created a studio. But I knew that like this other stuff that I had been working on with like the motherhood mental wellness, like that was not ready to leave. Like that is so deeply ingrained in my work still. And like human design, like it was never ready to leave. It was just about shifting how I express myself, I think. And so what you're speaking to, Lee, is I use human design to inform like the branding that I do with my clients and what that looks like. So if someone is coming to me for branding and website design, we always start with this branding vision session. And in that, I chat, like I hear their story, like the heart behind their business, kind of what led them into this work. Because again, for me, it's about that depth and that storytelling. And then I also look up their human design conscious sun gate. And again, if you're listening, you're like, what the heck is this thing? That represents in human design, like the biggest gift that you're here to share in this lifetime. And so I hear their story. I look at this gift that they're here to share. And then I take that information and I use it to inform the decisions that I make about their branding because I want all the decisions to be very intentional. So I can get into a little bit more like of a concrete example of what that actually looks like. But I think the whole point of this for me is I want to create deeply like resonant brands. I want people to land on your website, for example, Lee, and for them to energetically feel like I need to work with Lee and Lee specifically, right? There's an emotional connection there, right? And the visual elements really do that. There's like an energy of who you are, especially when you're like a personal brand, and you're stepping into this like bigger version for yourself. You want your clients to land in your space and to feel that about you. So for me, that feeling, that emotional reaction is so important. I don't want it to feel generic. I want it to feel like Lee. And so taking that conscious sun gate to be like, this is Lee's biggest gift, and to put that into your visual element, my hope is that they feel you specifically. And they're like, I'm meant to work with her. And so would it be helpful for me to explain a bit more of a concrete example with that?
Yes. I
Okay.
love this so much.
Okay.
Go on.
Okay. Okay. So I recently, I wrote this down because I was like, I feel like I want to make this a bit more concrete. So I recently had a client who I did a branding vision session for, and she, is kind of like a grief support coach. She's like a healing coach, and her conscious sun gate is gate 23, which is called the gate of assimilation. What that means, to break this down, is her gift is taking these very complex concepts like grief can be and
Yes.
making them very simple, very clear, very digestible for her clients so that her clients can understand what this big thing of grief is so that they feel clear about what grief is. And that's her gift. And so I take the way that I can translate that into like a visual design is I want her branding to feel very like clean, very minimalistic. There's not a lot of clutter because again, her gift is about bringing clarity. It's literally
Yeah.
about bringing clarity. And so I want her clients to land in her world and to feel the clarity that she provides for them. The way that this particular client of mine, the way that she translates her gifts to her clients is through her voice. Like it comes through in her human design chart that she uses like her throat center a lot. And so again, the throat chakra, the throat center is associated with the color blue. We used a lot of blue in her branding. So again, it's like these very specific things, these intentional details are informing like the elements of her design work. A lot of the imagery that we plan to use for her is like, again, about providing that clarity. So it's almost like, when you have sun shining through like curtains
Yes.
or like, sun like sparkling on the top of water. Again, it's like
Mm.
it's imagery, almost like metaphors that again speak to her unique gift. And so that's just one basic example, but I do this with kind of
So
all of my
cool.
design work. Yeah.
Okay, this is so cool. This is like blowing what most of us know branding to be out of the water. I feel like you're probably, no joke, way ahead of your time with how we think about branding because so many of us, I'm guilty of this. Please don't ever go and look at my website until we are working together, okay? I'm burning it down
No
and starting from
judgment.
scratch. And
No
when I
judgment.
had when I had my website done, I hired it out and I didn't like it and I didn't have the confidence in myself to deliver that what I felt was like the biggest blow ever. So I was just like, "Oh, it's great. Thank you."
Yeah.
Um, oh, and anyways, we've worked through that now, thank goodness. But I think that so many of us will just, and I'm using myself as an example, and you're going to be cringing, but like I'll go onto Pinterest and I'll be like, come up with color palettes for me and then like find fonts. But it makes sense for me now after you explain how storytelling plays into the branding and just all the elements that we really can't Pinterest our way through.
Yeah.
Nothing has ever landed for me. I've had one website that I really liked, and then I left that niche and that website dissipated.
Yeah.
But it makes so much sense when I see something on somebody else's website or a Pinterest board, and I'm like, oh, that looks so great. And then when I try to transfer it over to my own stuff, I'm like, I hate this. So I honestly think you're so ahead of your time because you're
Yeah.
going to force people to look at branding in a different light.
Thank you. I just like I love going deep with clients like and yeah, for me it's really that like storytelling element and like I want your visual home, like your website to just be like an extension of you and who you are and what you do that's different because you're right, we all have our own unique process, but like it's so important for clients who come in our world to know like I want to work specifically with Lee. Like it's like the same feeling you get when you go into a store, a specific store, and you're like, ooh, there's like an emotional reaction of like, ooh, I'm
Yes.
gonna buy something from in here. Like this store was made
That,
for me, right?
that's me at Restoration Hardware every time.
Oh my gosh. Of
I
course.
love it.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, yeah, no, but I appreciate you saying that so much. Like I couldn't imagine doing branding another way. Like my process, like I want it to be deep and thoughtful and intentional. Like that is just who I am. Um, I'm not here for like the surface level generic brands who are changing all the time. This is also about like sustainability for me. Like
Mm,
I want it to feel like you and for it to like last, right? Um,
yes.
so yeah, that's kind of who I am and my process, I guess.
It's super, super cool. Have you ever come across someone's human design chart and realized that what they were trying to force in their business was not actually what they were programmed for?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, all the time
Oh,
because we're
okay.
so conditioned, right? Like even in the way that we like market ourselves online, right? Like we think um how many times have I been told, like, you just need to show up consistently on
Mhm.
social media and market yourself consistently, 3 posts a week, and you'll start to grow, right? As a projector, someone who's like a non-energy being who doesn't have that like super consistent life force energy, that does not feel good for me. Like I'm
Okay.
way more the person who like gets a download, posts one post, and then ghosts for like 2 weeks because it's not intuitively coming through me. It drains my energy when I'm trying to push and push
Mhm.
and push all the time. Now, that might work really well for another energy type with a different design than me, but that's just not my process. And that
Yeah.
comes through in my chart. Yeah.
So, how do you have those difficult conversations? Because I think this translates across any business, right? How do you navigate that? How do you find the delivery? How do you find that it's received? And how do you just kind of build yourself up to having that conversation where you can tell them like you've been forcing something that's actually not in your chart and that's why it feels hard?
So it's so interesting because I don't necessarily that like think I've actually had any difficult conversations with this because even when I tell them these things, like they're showing up one way, but actually their chart may be saying something else. Like they already know this. Like they already
Yeah.
know it doesn't feel good. They just
Yeah.
haven't given themselves permission to try a new way. And so
Yeah.
it's a lot of times for them, it's like it's relief. It's like, oh my gosh, I don't have to show up that way. I can just be who I am, and that's enough. Like,
Mm.
so I think it doesn't feel like another thing. Like it almost feels like easeful. Does that make sense?
Hmm. Yeah, I totally get that. What are some of the things that all of us as entrepreneurs should know about our chart? Like I think for me, the way that I got into human design was understanding that I'm a Manny Gen and
Hmm.
then understanding projector, manifester, and generator.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's start there. Let's explain what this is and how it can apply to our businesses.
Yeah, so I think that's a really good place to start is with the energy type, which is what you're speaking to. There's 5 energy types in human design. And so to look that up is, yeah, like I said, a really good place to start, but it's only kind of like the first layer of the onion. I think if you're
Mhm.
gonna look up two, 3 things just to start to like, if you're completely new to human design, look up your energy type, which is similar to like um, your sun sign in astrology or like your zodiac sign, right?
Okay.
In astrology, there's 12, right? And I'm like a Sagittarius. So your
Mhm.
energy type being a projector would be similar to that sun sign.
Okay.
Um, and then the 2 other things I would look up would be your strategy and your authority. So human design gets complicated with its terminology, but your strategy is associated with your energy type. So Lee, you're a manifesting generator.
Yeah.
Your strategy is responding. Every single manifesting generator's strategy is responding. Okay. And that's the way your strategy is kind of like the way that you're designed to use your energy. And to get more into it, responding is kind of this process of like almost like leaning back and letting the world come to you rather than pushing to make something happen. So generators,
Okay.
manifesting generators, which make up the majority of our population, their strategy is responding, and it's taking this more like leaned back approach to life. So start there, look into it,
Oh my God.
and it can be applied to your business immediately. And then the other thing I would look into would be your authority. So your authority in human design is like a fancy way of saying like how you're designed to make decisions. And so we are taught to make decisions in our life, by making a pros and cons list, by
Right.
seeing what our friends and family have done. Human design operates very differently. It's about being connected with your body and checking in with your intuition. What does your intuition say about what is right
Mm.
when I'm making a decision? And so this is like super applicable to business. Is like, do I want to offer a course, or do I want to open a membership? Like what does my authority say, and how
Oh,
can I use
wow.
my authority to make that decision? So it's a very like concrete way of starting to play around with your intuition.
So even our offers can, like the human design chart can help us shape our offers and how we put our offers out there.
It can shape anywhere in your business that you're making
Oh my
decisions.
gosh. Okay,
Any,
that's wild.
yeah. Yeah, anywhere. So look up your authority. You'll have to tell me after. Um,
Okay.
but it can shape like, yeah, anywhere you're making decisions. And it's not
Okay.
going to be easy. A lot of times there's like a lot of conditioning around making decisions using logic, using your brain, using a pros and cons list. So it does not feel um like start using your intuition with small decisions in your day. Do I want to have a coffee right now? Yes or no? What does my intuition say? Do I want
Yeah.
to change the channel on the radio station? What does my intuition say? Right? Like
Yeah.
these are small things that um don't shift the trajectory of our life in big
Yeah.
ways, but start playing around with it in very small ways. And then you'll start to gain trust in your intuition. And then you can start using it to make bigger decisions.
Okay, I love that. So authority, what was the first one called?
So an energy type,
Energy type,
strategy,
strategy,
authority.
authority. And
Yeah.
where does Sungate come into this? Because you were actually the first person I had heard talk about this. And this was in our mastermind chat. And I was like, what is she talking about? This is something I've never
I
heard of. But
know.
then understanding it was related to human design, I was like, oh my gosh. And this keeps coming up for me too, is the same way that you were talking about homeschooling coming into your
Mhm.
life
Mhm.
frequently.
Mhm.
I feel like it's human design for me. I feel like that's my next like undertaking is really getting into that. So explain Sungate through an entrepreneurial lens.
Yeah. So your gates in human design are kind of like your gifts or your strengths. So I offer like regular human design readings as well. And this is so helpful for entrepreneurs just to have their gifts or their strengths echoed back to them, like mirrored back to them. Because again, it's probably things you already know about yourself, but you
Yeah.
don't necessarily realize that they are gifts. So gates are known as gifts. Your conscious sun gate is um to get into human design, like the sun and the energy from the sun um highly influences our energy when we're born, and it has like the biggest influence on our energy. And so your conscious sun gate is your biggest gift that you're here to share in this lifetime. Yeah.
Mm. Do you help people step into that and realize that and cultivate that power within themselves when you do the human design readings?
I truly believe so. Like I get a ton
Yeah.
of positive feedback. And ultimately I can't hold their hands. Like this is something
Yeah.
they need to take responsibility for. But I think that awareness is really like a spark or a catalyst for them often taking next steps. And they say in human design, I think it takes like 7 years or something to really go through this process of like deconditioning yourself and coming back
Wow.
to your authentic self. So it's even in just like it's an experiment, right? It's not meant to limit you at all. It's about trying it on and trying it on in small ways and then that leading to like bigger ways. Um, but yeah, like again, I would not be here if I hadn't explored human design and started following my intuition. And it's crazy how fast like things can shift when you start shifting into alignment.
Yeah, intuition is always something that every single woman brings up when I do a podcast recording. It's our driving force. And I love how actionable it is to tap into it. Like you said, just check in. Like I'm sitting there thinking about the example you gave of like swapping the radio. There's so many times where I'm like listening to my Spotify playlist. I'm like, I don't like that song. Like I don't want to listen to it, but I don't go and change it.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
these
Yeah.
little micro things that we need to start maybe honoring is the best way to kind of describe it, like honoring what we really actually want and just training ourselves to kind of step into that level of consciousness, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. I love
So,
it so much. What is something that you wish every entrepreneur knew about branding?
that's a really good question. I think like that it doesn't have to be this like surface level, like just choose your colors because that's what's fun. Like it can be this like deeper, like almost like creative expression and extension of you. Like it's almost like this way to put yourself out in the world and be truly visible. For me, that's been such a beautiful process of like letting the world see who I am. So I think there's like something deeper to branding that maybe people don't really realize.
Yeah, I think we all do think about it in this very like simplistic way. And I'm realizing how much it's actually this very in-depth thing. And yeah, I love how you've described having somebody land on your website and feel you through all the, I guess it's like subconscious stuff that's there, like the colors, the images, um, the words. How important is um, oh my gosh, what is the word? The copy on our website, in your opinion, like in comparison to the imagery and the colors and the things that pull the emotions?
Yeah, I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard that people form an impression of you and your business in less than 10 seconds. And
Yeah,
that
I've heard something similar.
that's like before they even have a chance to read the
Yeah.
copywriting. So absolutely, I believe the copywriting is important as
Yeah.
well. Like, of course I do. But I think like again, that initial judgment that somebody forms about you is really created through like the visual elements.
It's like the copy supports the first phase of an introduction to a person or a brand. I love that so
Absolutely.
much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. This has been such a fun conversation, and I am going to leave your website below, your Instagram below. What are some of the ways that you encourage people to start working with you from the get-go? Is it the brand identity package?
Yeah, I mean, just come over and hang out in my world. It's just so nice for me to connect with other like-minded entrepreneurs. Even if it doesn't lead to something more, like I love connecting with other like-minded women. I do offer, mini human design readings if you're new to it and you kind of just want to like get a feel for it. I also offer a free branding and website audit that you can book through my Instagram through like the link in my bio. So if you're like listening to this and you're like, oh man, my website, my branding is not a reflection of who I am and I want like
This is
some
me.
simple ways to like shift into a more resonant brand. Like book this 30-minute call. We hop on a call together. I pull up your website or anywhere you're marketing yourself, and then I give you like simple tips where you can kind of start to shift that on your own, even if you're not looking to do like a full website or branding redo. These are just like simple strategies you can do on your own, and we can connect a bit more. But yeah, I also offer custom branding, website design, these branding vision sessions if you're wanting to just like dabble in it and see where your branding could go without actually investing in the full thing. Yeah, those are kind of my offers. So yeah, you can check. I know you said you'll link my website and my Instagram, so
Yeah.
I'll be there.
Okay, this is perfect. Thank you so much for your wisdom. Thank you so much for the beautiful conversation. And I hope this inspires everyone to, at the very least, discover what your human design is, and definitely book a session with Carolyn if you want to do a deeper dive. And for all of us that have been sitting on websites we don't love, this is a sign to update the website for sure. So thank you so much, Carolyn.
Thank you, Lee. This was honestly so nice to just chat with you today. I'm so grateful.
Yeah, I can't wait for you to come into Banff and we'll do a hike together and grab a latte. It'll be great.
No, wait, it'll be perfect.